Do you ever find yourself convinced that changing your reality is an enormous, painstaking process? That it takes relentless visualization, months of constant effort, and perhaps years of emotional healing just to see a glimmer of true transformation? Maybe you've been taught that breakthrough is something you can only earn through a long, drawn-out struggle, checking off endless spiritual boxes and practicing every technique you can find, waiting for alignment to finally show up. But what if everything you know about quantum leaps is missing the one detail that matters most? Because here's the thing. The real shift, the moment everything pivots, isn't loud or dramatic. It's not even something most people notice when it happens. It's subtle, quiet, and almost always overlooked. There's a hidden energetic pattern that appears at the brink of a life-changing transformation. Oddly enough, this shift doesn't occur when you hustle harder or when you pile on more self-improvement rituals. The instant the entire field responds is the moment something inside you relaxes. It's when you stop forcing, stop chasing proof, stop doubting. There's an internal surrender, so natural, so simple that it almost feels anticlimactic. Yet that's the very space where quantum change is activated. In this video, we're peeling back the layers to uncover exactly how this frequency works and why simplicity is often the last thing your ego wants. You'll discover that in the energetic domain, the skills that matter most go beyond strategies and techniques. We'll spotlight the telltale signs that you're standing on the threshold of a new timeline and explain why moments that feel like breakdown are not signals of failure, but actual rites of passage. Let's start with something you've likely felt, even if you've struggled to name it: resistance to ease. Have you ever noticed how when things begin to flow effortlessly, instead of feeling relieved, you get anxious? Maybe you experience a sudden urge to analyze or control. Deep down, you sense that clarity is finally settling in, but your mind clamors for evidence, for a logical explanation. There's a familiar tension, a tug-of-war between your soul's unmistakable knowing and your ego's tireless need for safety. Isn't it strange how our culture glorifies struggle? We're taught to equate effort with virtue and complexity with intelligence. If something is easy or simple, it's labeled as too good to be true, possibly unearned or even suspicious. The quantum field, however, doesn't follow these human rules. It responds not to how hard you work, but to the purity and consistency of your signal. Simplicity, in fact, is the frequency of clarity. The kicker is, simplicity poses a threat to your outdated identity. If it's truly that simple, what was the purpose of all that struggle? What does that say about your self-image, the one built around fixing, proving, and striving? Simplicity clears the fog of drama. And when all the stories and distractions fall away, there's suddenly nowhere left to hide. That's why most of us sabotage our own breakthroughs unconsciously, not because we're defective or incapable, but because we're unnerved by the nakedness of truth. We expect explosive changes, maybe even a magical lightning bolt. But what we're given by the quantum field is stillness, an invitation to settle into a frequency that requires no effort. In that quiet is the opportunity for lasting shift. The field doesn't reflect your ambitious declarations or your perfectly worded affirmations. It mirrors the identity you're actually embodying, who you are when you let go. When you stop trying to bend reality to your ideas and simply allow yourself to resonate, the feedback loop flips. No longer are you waiting for external reality to validate your inner state. You stop adjusting your energy based on circumstance and instead begin to broadcast your unique tone regardless of what plays out. That's the difference between manifestation and shifting. Manifestation often comes from a hunger for something you feel you lack. Shifting, on the other hand, is about stepping into a version of yourself that already exists right now on another frequency. The only thing between you and that timeline is your energetic filter. Not time, not effort, just energy. So what if your quantum leap isn't inherently hard, it's just strange and unfamiliar? Maybe you've been operating intellectually, trying to analyze your way into a new chapter while your body and emotions are wired for the old one. And maybe the real obstacle isn't your outside circumstances, but your hidden addiction to complexity. In the next chapter, we'll dig deeper into why so many people struggle to stabilize their energy and why unresolved blind spots keep your signal full of static, making it hard for the field to find you. We'll shine a light on the subtle ways you resist resonance and unveil practical energetic skills that can help you broadcast from a space the universe recognizes. Stick with me, because embracing simplicity isn't just helpful, it's the only real doorway. Once you experience this clarity, everything shifts. If quantum transformation is really so simple, why is it such a rare experience? Why does it seem like you're always bumping up against some invisible limit, stuck repeating emotional cycles even when you know what should work? Why do your efforts stall at the edge of breakthrough? The answer is straightforward. Simplicity requires more vulnerability than effort ever could. It asks you to be radically aware and present, to stand exposed in the beam of truth without the shield of complicated tools or rationalizations. When things are convoluted, responsibility is diffuse. You can blame a failed method, the wrong timing, the incomplete process. But when the truth is simple, there's nowhere to deflect, nothing left but your willingness to shift. So let's pinpoint the number one blocker: unconscious blind spots. These blind spots aren't personal failings. They're simply habits and emotional reflexes you've practiced for so long that they feel like objective reality. Stories you tell yourself have set your default emotional climate. Yet here's a quantum secret. The field isn't keyed to your conscious desires. It's tuned to your unconscious state. You can be envisioning abundance while still vibing with scarcity. Not from a lack of effort, but from a failure to examine your baseline signal. Consider this. What do you project energetically when you're alone, not working on yourself? What emotions tend to dominate your internal weather? That, right there, is what the quantum field interprets as your true signal. Self-awareness is the gateway, not the kind you get from jotting notes in a journal or pondering your choices before bed, but the kind of vigilant consciousness that watches your reactions and thoughts in real time, without judgment or intervention, just noticing. This cultivated awareness gives you space to shift from autopilot to agency, from mindless reaction to chosen response. Next comes radical responsibility. Here, your frequency starts to polish itself. It's not about self-blame, it's about energetic ownership. When you upgrade your question from, "Why did this happen to me?" to, "What does this reflect about my resonance?" the field starts providing new feedback. Victimhood is noisy, but its frequency is scattered. Ownership is quiet, but it draws reality toward you. Accountability is where the rubber meets the road. This is the practice of returning over and over to your preferred state, no matter what life tosses your way. Most wait for reality to validate their energy, but the ones who shift persistently hold their signal, even when outside evidence is thin or absent. To be accountable means to honor your baseline state even when it feels pointless, even when nothing appears to be shifting. Here's the wild paradox: detachment from perception. We're raised to judge everything as good or bad, closer or further, success or failure. But what if your lowest moment is actually the recalibration before your biggest breakthrough? What if what feels like breakdown is simply your old energetic pattern unraveling so something stronger can crystallize? Detachment doesn't mean becoming numb. It means letting experience move through you without labeling every detail. The quantum field isn't linear. Sometimes the darkness is the price of new light. Your real work is to consistently nurture your vibration as the highest truth, even while the world looks messy and uncertain. That, my friend, takes courage. It's easy to stay busy, easier still to spin your wheels trying new spiritual hacks. But sitting in unfiltered stillness and admitting, "I've recreated this old loop because I keep seeing life through an outdated lens," that's where the art of the shift begins. The quantum leap isn't a complicated operation, but a surgical one. It dissolves falsehood. It asks you to say goodbye to dynamics that need drama to feel alive. The question becomes, are you willing to let those patterns rest? Let's go even deeper. What does the threshold before an actual shift look and feel like? It's subtle, confusing, and often misread as defeat. There's a moment right before breakthrough, when you are standing between two realities. The old identity is crumbling, the new isn't fully solid. You're suspended in a hallway, a liminal space. Your beliefs falter, your vision fuzzes, and your nervous system urges you to do something. But the truth is, you're precisely where you need to be, at the doorway.
This energetic space isn't comfortable. It arrives like confusion, exhaustion, misalignment, or even outright despair. You might feel as if you missed your exit, like your intuition is suddenly unreliable. If you don't know what's really happening, you'll likely retreat, try to fix things by working harder, or worst of all, doubting your entire journey. Don't mistake this for collapse. It's a careful calibration. Before any quantum jump, your field has to drop its attachment to the old coherence pattern. Imagine dialing out from one radio station before a new one tunes in. The messy noise you hear in between isn't a mistake, it's just transition. The energy that held your old story together is dissolving. Your habits and beliefs lose charge, and your ego feels it has nothing left to grip. It panics, triggering anxiety and restlessness, desperate to keep you from moving forward. This is the danger zone, where most turn back. Not because nothing is working, but because they misread friction as failure instead of transformation. If things feel unstable, consider it proof that you're close. Uncertainty is evidence that you're shedding what no longer fits. Judging this transition too soon is self-sabotage. You'll label it as proof you're stuck. You'll claim it as evidence your efforts are wasted, and in the process, you'll stabilize the outdated pattern at the very last moment. The antidote is awareness, not action. Stay present. Let the chaos soften. The more you can witness without reacting, the more magnetic you become. You aren't manifesting through struggle. You're becoming the point of attraction itself. Right before the leap, your nervous system expands to hold more power, not through extra intensity, but through new coherence. When you stop resisting and begin to simply be, your field organizes around your stillness. That's the opening. The quantum listens at the threshold. What do you do at this most crucial moment? Not much in the old sense. Don't fix, don't hustle, don't push. Your job is tuning. Meet discomfort with breath. Observe without attachment. Soften your hold on timelines. You are not here to force a new reality. You're here to become available to the one already coded within. This is real surrender, not giving up, but letting go. Let's talk signals. The field is always listening, not to your words, but to your embodied energy. You can journal, you can visualize, you can meditate. But if your baseline energy is scattered with fear, doubt, or hustle, that's the headline the quantum field receives. Coherence is more than calmness. It's the tangibility of being, the unshakable fit between thought, feeling, and energetic state. Coherence doesn't demand perfection, but it does insist on presence. Imagine dialing a radio. Just a fraction off and the music is static. The same happens with your quantum broadcast. If you want without believing, ask but don't receive, declare without feeling, it's confusion. The field can only echo unclear frequency with one outcome: delay. Shifting isn't about doing, it's about cleaning your signal. Cleaning doesn't mean repressing emotion. It means making sure your intention and your embodiment match. But be careful. Most try to force coherence, thinking their way into a feeling, micromanaging affirmations and energetic routines. But coherence isn't gained through control. It's gained through surrender. You can't fake alignment. Instead, shift by relaxing into your truth, not as performance, but as recognition. So, what creates that resonance? It's honesty, clarity, presence, the decision to live in the energy of your outcome before it appears. Calm certainty, not frantic affirmation. That's the vibe the field mirrors. Not "I need," but "I am." When your nervous system trusts your tone, your reality reconfigures around it. Think on this. I am the shift. Let those words anchor you, not in performance, but recognition. Say it to confirm, not convince. Speaking from this depth is the language the quantum field understands. And this is when your reality moves. Let's now decode the mechanics of quantum reflection, how your attention picks the timeline, how coherence acts as a command, and why willpower isn't effective. You're not creating a new reality from scratch. You're collapsing into a version of yourself that's already thriving elsewhere in the field. Thought alone doesn't shift you. Identity does. If your thoughts want change, but your subconscious signature is coded to old patterns, the field will always reflect the identity, not the aspiration. Internal work matters, not as a daily grind, but as a continuous homecoming to coherence. The new you isn't something you need to invent or reach for. It's already alive, waiting for you to stop resisting. Ask yourself now, who am I being right this second? Not in performance or effort, but in tone, in truth, in simple presence. Because the version of you living your dream life isn't hiding on the horizon. It's right here, accessible through resonance, not reaching. And as we move towards our final chapter, you'll learn to integrate quantum shifting as a natural way of life. Not as another thing to do, but as a state to inhabit, fluid, effortless, and permanent. The change you seek is happening, even now, underneath your awareness. Here's the conclusion, clear, direct. The quantum field listens to coherence, not effort. It ignores what you want. It amplifies who you are. The shift, the leap, the transformation isn't some future destination. It's accessible, right now, in simplicity. So simple, in fact, that the ego trips over it, searching for something grander. But those who stabilize new timelines understand simplicity is no accident. It's the magnetic core of reality shift. You won't leap forward by doing more. You stabilize by making your signal clean, calm, and true. You shift when you quit chasing the version of yourself you're meant to be and simply start living as them right now. This doesn't mean masking pain with fake positivity. It means dignifying every emotion without letting it hijack your identity. That's the heart of quantum mastery. Stop chasing the shift. Embody the ease of shifting. Reality stops being a pursuit and becomes your mirror. Your energy subtly rearranges the space you enter. You speak less, but people listen. You request less, but you receive more. Not because you're gaming the system, but because your field is finally in harmony. Master shifters don't hand out methods. They create states. Their transmission tunes you to ancient wisdom already inside you. They help you shed pretension, not pile on new routines. This is your invitation to remember to belong. The timeline exists right now, where you are clear, calm, certain, magnetic, and whole. Not because you've achieved perfection, but because you finally stopped outsourcing your frequency to circumstance. Let this be the signal you return to, not to perform, but to belong. If you felt it, even as you listen, then you're not just hearing a video, you're receiving a transmission. Something in you is already shifting, subtly but unmistakably. If this truth resonates, subscribe, not just for another video, but for another version of yourself. This channel is more than a library. It's a frequency. Every subscriber tells the field, I remember who I am. Welcome home. The shift is already yours. The field knows it. And now, so do you.